My father was quite a storyteller, and near the end of his life, he had cancer, and he lived in the Midwest. Now, I lived in the Southwest, where it was a lot warmer, and the winters were a lot less harsh, and he was going through chemotherapy and radiation treatment. Those winters were really hard, so I invited him down to where I lived, and I had a couple of brothers and sisters who were in the area, and we just said, why don't you come down for the harshest months of the winter? And I got out a tape recorder, and I recorded all his stories. One day, we were out to lunch, and I didn't have the tape recorder with me, and he told me one of my favorite stories. And that is, he said, it's just apropos of, we were talking about family or something, and he said, I learned one thing from raising 8 kids. I had a big family. We had 8 kids in the family. And I said, one thing, I'm going to get married. I'm going to have kids someday. I want to know what this one thing was. He said, what I learned was each of my kids has to hit a brick wall, and that's how they learn about life. What do you mean, I say? So he said, I've watched 8 of you kids grow up. And he said, what happens is every once in a while, you make a decision that I think is really a bad decision. You're hanging around with the wrong kids, you're getting bad grades, you get involved in drugs or alcohol, you're misbehaving in some way, you're getting into some delinquent behavior or something. And he said, I can see where this is leading. And he said, it's almost like you're on a motorcycle, you're heading for a brick wall, and you're going towards this brick wall. And I, the parent, can see there's going to be bad consequences in the future. And so he said, for the first couple of kids, and these were my older brothers who paved the way for the rest of us because they did a lot of things and kind of broke my parents in. He said, what I would do is I would stand in front of the brick wall they were heading for, and I would give them a lecture. Look out, that's a wrong direction. You're making a big mistake. You're messing up. And he said, all that got me was they would speed up on the motorcycle. They would give me a rude gesture. They would hit me. We'd hit the wall, and down we'd go. And we'd get back up and kind of pick up the pieces and go on with life. He said, but that was painful for all concerned. He said, after the first 2, I got a lot smarter. He said, I stood to the side while I gave my lecture. I could see you heading for a brick wall, and I'd say, look, I think you're heading for a brick wall, big mistake, but I didn't stand in front of the brick wall anymore. So I got a little smarter. He said, after 6 of you, I got a lot smarter. I just sat down, and I would say, look, I'm an old man. You probably think I don't know what I'm talking about, and you may be right. But I think you're heading for a brick wall, and I think that's a bad direction. I recommend you go in a different direction. He said, when I said it in a more calm way, and I didn't lecture them and yell at them and things like that, I noticed they had a different response. They slowed down a little. Rude gesture dropped out. They still hit the brick wall. He said, and the goody two-shoes hit smaller brick walls, and they went slower, and the really wild ones hit bigger brick walls, and they went faster. But all of my kids, that seems to be the way they learned that they're accountable for their behavior, that there are consequences for your behavior. And he said, it tears your heart out as a parent to see them do this. And he said, if I thought they were going to die, I'd try and reach over and pull the key out of their motorcycle, but you can't follow your kids around 24 hours a day. You can't know everything that they're going to do that could have bad consequences. So he said, at that point, all you have to do is stay home, pray, hope you've raised them with a little common sense, and hope that God's watching over them or they're lucky in some way. But he said, I just realized after 8 kids that there's no getting around this. Kids have to hit the brick wall, and that's how they learn. When I had kids, that lesson was really helpful.